No, that's okay. Uh, I wrote a title. Did you see that some cops in Utah shot an autistic kid the other day? A 13-year-old kid. The
No.
mom called the cops for help because the kid was having a mental episode, and they show up, and within 5 minutes they gun the kid down. They shoot him like 7 times or something stupid
Why?
that no one knows. The kid, there's no weapon around, and but they shot, and it's
No,
13, but
I'm a big black, back the blue guy, and I'm very pro law enforcement and all that kind of stuff. But damn it, stuff like that happens. It's like,
yeah, and the kid lived through it, which is the good news. But had real damage in his abdomen, so he might have to have, he might be on a bag the rest of his life and stuff.
they have body cameras and stuff.
I have no idea. But the title of my video was police shoot autistic kids, defund the police question mark. And the conclusion, of course, I spent like 5 minutes ranting that defunding the police isn't actually the solution.
No, no,
That
it's
that
not.
that that's not how you actually handle this, but it's maybe either offloading like mental health issues to someone who's qualified to deal with mental health, and not expecting police officers to be qualified to deal with mental health, and to let them focus on policing, or to send, maybe instead of 2 officers, 1 officer, 1 mental health worker, something like that, partnering with organizations who can help defuse these situations that don't actually need violence. And that's not defunding the police, that's actually taking away stuff that the police aren't supposed to be doing and freeing up time for officers to do better things.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but I think one of the problems would be, of course, knowing that that's what the call. We be curious to know what the mother actually said when she called nine. I assume she called 911.
I tell you what she probably didn't say, and that's what the chief of police came out and said was, I thought I heard he had threatened someone with a weapon or something. Which I'm guessing the mom didn't say about her 13-year-old autistic kid who didn't have a weapon, who was in their home. Um, so it's
Yeah, you know, there may be some explanation that exculpates the cops, but I can't really imagine what it would be.
yeah,
And,
it's
and
and well, the annoying thing is, under the law, I mean, I guess if he attacked them in some way or something, they may have been legally justified in using some force, but there's no good way to sell the headline of police shoots autistic child. Like, it just
no,
doesn't
no,
ever, there's not that brilliant ring to it that you really want.
no, not really. Well, and that's one of the things about, we as a country, we've been dealing with this problem since television first came out, but it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And now I think we may have reached an inflection point where the most bizarre, unlikely, one in a million occurrences are being plastered on everyone's TV as though it happens all the time.
Right, yeah. Now, it's
And
it's not like a bunch of autisms are being shot every day by the
no,
cops. This is
no,
certainly a weird one-off story.
you have a million interactions a day, a week, whatever the number is. One or two of them are going to be, aberrant. But God, what a tragedy, though. I mean, I, and it's two. And what's weird is it's two cops doing it. So that
Yeah.
means that both of them had to decide that was a good idea.
And it's, yeah, and I don't know
So,
about the size of the kid or anything. I mean, there's pictures of him, but
oh
but
yeah,
you
listen,
you can't
there.
tell you can't tell from the pictures, but the mom just, she's like, he's just a baby, he's little. They could just tackle him. And so I don't know, what but
Yeah,
from the pictures I can't actually determine if he's little or not.
you know.
I've seen some big 13-year-olds.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. When I was a teacher long ago, especially that's a weird age for boys because some boys literally are grown up at that age, and others haven't even hit their growth spurt yet. So there's no telling. But the only thing that's going to get the police off the hot, okay, since we don't know what happened, I guess you'd ask the question: what could have happened that would justify this? What plausible thing could happen? The only thing I can think of is he came out with something that looked like a weapon.
Yeah. And there has to be, and that's what I said on the show,
I mean,
on
police
the
officers don't just go shooting people like that.
not normally. And so the question is, yeah, what other part of the story is this?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, my main point
But
of
the optics are awful regardless. I mean,
yeah,
it really doesn't matter.
well, and
You know,
that's one of the things I said. It's like frankly, even if he had a knife, that's going to sound like a bad story.
yeah,
But
yeah.
in the story, it did say no weapons were found. Now that doesn't mean there's nothing that looked like a weapon.
Right.
It
Yeah, that
doesn't
just
mean he didn't reach for an officer's gun, which is entirely possible.
you know, or pulled out an airsoft. I mean, you know, who knows? Who
Maybe
knows?
he threw his arms back into a Naruto run. He's charged at the
Yeah,
cops really
well,
fast.
that normally would be grounds for shooting, but well, I think, you know, like a lot of these things, here's the thing: when the police do something aberrant, just out of the blue like this, okay, when you have an officer that's been on the force for 5 years, let's say,
Hmm.
all of a sudden he's just going to go randomly shoot someone just cause. It doesn't.
No,
Anything's possible. And you know, I mean, I don't know how long, I don't know how experienced the officers were, but I suspect, like most partner teams, you've got them. You know, you've got one guy that's been around the block a few times, and one somewhat less. But you know, you just if they were prone to doing it, they'd have done that in the first week or two.
I try to picture or try to frame cop interactions in my head this way, that I don't believe until I'm given evidence to the contrary that a cop sets out to kill someone
I
on any
agree.
given day. Even Chauvin, who I think, and I know there's some new stuff about Floyd that I've got to cover, but even Chauvin, who I think did a pretty egregious thing. I don't think he woke up that morning going, you know what, I want to kill this guy. I don't think he even walked up to the situation thinking he wanted to kill the guy.
No,
I don't think
yeah,
he wanted to kill him
that's,
while he was laying. That's why I
I,
think murder 2 is stupid. I don't think they can prove intent.
oh, they
But
overcharged. They beclowned themselves. They overcharged it, and
yeah,
they're gonna, uh, and of course, if the evidence turns out to be solid that he actually died of an overdose and would have died regardless, that's going to be inconvenient.
they're
There's
gonna
a
have
lot.
to
Uh,
have someone really convincing and really good to tell the jury that the expert's wrong.
so
And
you know what they
I'm not
did.
saying
So
they
you know what
can't
they
do
did in
it.
the Rodney
That's the
King
strategy.
trial. You know, Rodney King was, the officers that were tried for violating Rodney King's civil rights, they were acquitted. It was interesting because, you know, the beating of the beat that video is hard to watch.
Oh
Right
yeah,
now, if you watch the whole video, something that only got showed one time that I saw on TV, the very beginning, Rodney King bum rushes the cops, and he's a
right.
big guy,
Yeah,
you know, and he was wired up. But I was reading, I was in law school when all that stuff happened, and
that's funny.
I
I was
was
in middle school.
yeah. Well, so you know, so the trial, I was in a trial advocacy class, and the professor talked a little bit about the tactics that were used by the officers' counsel. They desensitized the jury by showing the video over and over and over and slowing it down, and just, you know, that that by the time it was over, the jury was bored having seen it so much, and that's how
Yeah.
they dealt with. And I think probably you'd expect Chauvin's attorney to do the same thing. Just saturate the jury with that video over and over again, and take this. You know, you and I think I've, you've heard me use this term. I think I've heard you use it too. It's called drawing the stinger. You know,
I've never
uh,
used that term in my life. Don't ever accuse me of that again.
well,
No.
well,
No, it's I get it though.
but
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, that's the thing. That's how I think I would try to defend it would be. But you're right. I mean, the optics are hard to get past.
Yeah. And
You
the
know,
question is, will you have a judge that lets you do that?
I
Um
don't think in a criminal trial, I don't think the judge has got much discretion. You know, you're pretty much allowed to put on damn near any defense you can in a criminal trial.
well, you
And
might
if
be
the
making that case on appeal.
right, right, yeah, well, that'll be the thing too. And you know, and that's the troubling thing, right? something that you would hope wouldn't be the case, but
Well,
is the potential for violence so visceral that a judge would actually not do their jobs?
the here's my framing of the Chauvin issue. I thought when it happened, I thought we now have an opportunity to have a real discussion about police violence, of anybody. I don't think it's
Yeah,
important, and I think we should always have discussions about state violence, because when the state takes the life of a citizen, it,
right.
even when justified, we should really examine it, because that is the ultimate snuffing out of rights, and it may be
I agree.
justified. It absolutely may be. And so I thought, here we have an opportunity to do that. We lost that opportunity right away because people decided to burn down everything in sight
Yeah.
across the entire
You
damn
know,
country. And
yeah.
then, and so now the question is, okay, now that we have lost that opportunity and squandered it, we now the
Oh, and
next,
politicized it.
yeah,
Let's don't forget that.
right.
Is a Democratic judge gonna actually be able to do their job?
That'll be a good question. I mean,
You
we
know,
don't even know if it's going to be in Hennepin County. I mean, the judge might remove it.
I don't see how I don't see how he can get a fair trial in that county.
But the thing
But
is,
then again, where could he get a fair
if
trial?
they remove it to like my county, which they wouldn't remove it to my county, but outside of the Twin Cities metro, if you move out of there,
Yeah.
you're suddenly swapping the politics of the judge and, more importantly, the jury.
Well, that's what happened. Again, the Rodney King, you probably ought to read up on the Rodney King on that trial, because that's exactly what happened. They moved the venue to Simi Valley, which was basically 99.9% white,
Hmm.
and the cops were acquitted. And that was, of course, that was an angle on that too. Yeah, I agree with that. So when a Navy, in the Navy, the U.S. Navy, the Royal Navy, when a ship captain loses his ship, no matter for what reason, it doesn't matter. He's court-martialed. There's a in the Royal Navy, the captains still have swords. The captain will walk in and place his sword on a rack on the table.
Yeah.
To symbolize that because that is such a serious thing that it doesn't matter. You're gonna that they're gonna examine that thing for the same reason that you're talking about. It's such an important thing. I agree. Anytime a life is taken by the state, it ought to be heavily investigated. That said, you know, I I've learned way too many times in my life, oddly enough, especially after going to law school, that things are invariably more complicated and grayer and less certain than we think they are based on the media.